Ryan Harper wasn't someone who sought recognition for his actions. At 38, he had spent the last 5 years navigating life as a single dad after losing his wife, Claire, to cancer. Every day was a balancing act between working long hours as a high school teacher and ensuring his 2 children, 8-year-old Sophie and 10-year-old Ethan, felt loved and supported. Money was tight, but Ryan refused to let hardship dim the light in his kids' eyes, or his own spirit. The walls of their modest home were adorned with colorful drawings and handmade crafts, a testament to Claire's influence before she passed. She had been a social worker with a deep passion for helping underprivileged children, often encouraging Ryan to use his skills as a teacher to make a difference beyond the classroom. After her death, Ryan promised himself he'd honor her memory by continuing her mission. One evening, as Ryan graded papers at the kitchen table, Sophie tugged at his sleeve. "Dad, can we go camping this summer? Like we did with Mom?" Ryan smiled faintly, remembering the family trips they used to take. "I don't think we can afford a big trip this year, sweetheart. But maybe we can do something special closer to home." An idea began to form in his mind. What if he could create a summer camp, not just for his kids, but for all the children in the neighborhood who rarely got such opportunities? It wouldn't be fancy, but it could offer something invaluable: hope, learning, and laughter. Over the next few weeks, Ryan threw himself into planning the camp. He reached out to local businesses for donations, secured permission to use the community center, and recruited volunteers from the school staff. Though resources were scarce, Ryan's enthusiasm proved contagious. Parents pitched in wherever they could, donating snacks, games, and supplies. By the time June rolled around, Harper's Haven Summer Camp was ready to welcome its first group of eager campers. On opening day, Ryan stood outside the community center, watching as kids poured in, their faces lit with excitement. Among them was Mia Whitmore, a shy girl with striking blue eyes and a hesitant smile. Little did Ryan know, Mia's presence, and her father's gratitude, would soon transform not only the camp but also his entire outlook on life. On the first morning of Harper's Haven Summer Camp, the air buzzed with anticipation. Kids of all ages milled about the community center, clutching backpacks stuffed with snacks and water bottles. Some were wide-eyed with excitement. Others clung nervously to their parents' hands. Ryan greeted each child warmly, bending down to meet them at eye level and learn their names. "Welcome to camp," he said with an encouraging smile. "This is going to be a summer you'll never forget." Inside, the space had been transformed into a vibrant hub of activity. Brightly colored posters covered the walls, advertising workshops like Build Your Own Rocket and Nature Exploration Adventures. Tables were set up with supplies for arts and crafts, while a corner of the room housed board games and puzzles. Outside, volunteers helped set up tents for storytelling sessions and obstacle courses. Ryan gathered the kids in a circle for introductions. "All right, everyone," he began, his voice warm and steady. "Before we dive into the fun stuff, let's go around and share our names and something cool about ourselves. I'll start. I'm Mr. Harper, but you can call me Ryan. And something cool about me? Well, I once built a treehouse so big it could fit 10 people inside." The kids giggled, loosening up as they took turns introducing themselves. When it was Mia's turn, she hesitated, her cheeks flushing pink. "I'm Mia," she said softly, clutching a stuffed rabbit tightly. "And, I like drawing." Ryan nodded encouragingly. "Drawing is awesome, Mia. Maybe later you can show us some of your artwork during free time." As the day unfolded, the camp sprang to life. In one corner, a group of kids worked together to construct model rockets out of recycled materials, their laughter echoing through the room. Nearby, another cluster practiced tying knots for an upcoming scavenger hunt in the park. Outside, Ryan led a team-building exercise where kids partnered up to navigate a blindfolded obstacle course, relying solely on verbal instructions from their teammates. Mia stayed on the sidelines at first, watching quietly as the other children played. She wasn't used to environments like this. Her summers were typically spent attending elite camps or traveling abroad with her family. But there was something magnetic about the energy here, a sense of belonging she hadn't experienced before. During lunch, Ryan noticed Mia sitting alone under a tree, sketching in a notebook. He approached her gently, lowering himself onto the grass beside her. "Mind if I join you?" She looked up, startled, then shook her head. "Sure. What are you working on?" Ryan asked, gesturing to her notebook. "It's just a picture of the camp," Mia replied shyly, holding it up. The drawing was surprisingly detailed, capturing the colorful posters, the bustling kids, and even Ryan standing in the middle of it all. "This is incredible," Ryan said sincerely. "You've got real talent, Mia. Have you ever thought about entering an art contest?" She shrugged, looking down at her lap. "Not really. My dad says art isn't very practical." "Well, maybe your dad hasn't seen what I'm seeing right now," Ryan countered with a grin. "Keep drawing, okay? You never know where it might take you." By the end of the week, Mia had begun to open up. During a kite-making workshop, she teamed up with 2 other girls to create a dazzling rainbow-colored kite that soared higher than anyone else's. Later, during a nature walk, she discovered a hidden trail and proudly led the group to a clearing filled with wildflowers. Slowly but surely, she started to feel like part of the team. Unbeknownst to Ryan, Daniel Whitmore had been observing the camp from afar. Initially, he'd enrolled Mia in Harper's Haven to expose her to experiences outside her privileged bubble, to teach her empathy, resilience, and the value of hard work. But as he watched from the shadows, he found himself drawn to the program itself. One afternoon, Daniel lingered near the community center, pretending to check emails on his phone while secretly watching the kids play. He saw Mia laughing as she raced across the field during a relay race, her earlier shyness replaced by genuine joy. He noticed how Ryan interacted with the children, not as a distant authority figure, but as a mentor and friend. There was no pretense, no ulterior motive, just pure, unfiltered kindness. Later that evening, Daniel sat in his study, reflecting on what he'd witnessed. For years, he'd poured his energy into building his empire, measuring success in dollars and deals. Yet here was Ryan Harper, a man who gave everything he had, not for personal gain but to make lives better. It reminded Daniel of his late wife, who had always championed causes benefiting underprivileged youth. He pulled up his laptop and began researching Ryan's background. What he discovered only deepened his admiration. Ryan was a widower raising 2 kids alone, juggling multiple jobs to keep the camp running. Despite his challenges, he radiated optimism and purpose. Daniel realized that Ryan's camp wasn't just a summer program, it was a lifeline for these children, offering them opportunities they might not otherwise have. The question lingered in Daniel's mind. How could he help without overshadowing Ryan's efforts? After much deliberation, he decided to reach out, but not yet. First, he wanted to see the full impact of the camp over the remaining weeks. As the weeks passed, Daniel found himself visiting the camp more frequently, sometimes openly, other times lingering discreetly in the background. He volunteered during outdoor activities, helping set up tents or handing out water bottles, all while observing Ryan's interactions with the children. It was clear that Ryan had a gift for connecting with kids, whether it was calming a homesick camper or encouraging a shy child to join in a game. His patience and authenticity stood in stark contrast to the transactional relationships Daniel often encountered in his corporate world. One afternoon, during a storytelling session under the shade of a large oak tree, Daniel watched as Ryan sat cross-legged on the grass, surrounded by eager faces. The topic of the day was dreams, and Ryan encouraged each child to share what they hoped to achieve someday. "I want to be an astronaut," one boy exclaimed, earning cheers from the group. Another girl timidly raised her hand. "I just want to make my mom proud." When it was Mia's turn, she hesitated before speaking. "I think I want to be an artist," she said softly, glancing at her father, who stood nearby. "But I'm not sure if it's okay." Ryan smiled warmly. "Of course it's okay, Mia. Dreams don't have rules. The important thing is to follow your heart and work hard to make it happen." Daniel felt a pang of guilt. He'd always pushed Mia toward practical pursuits, dismissing her artistic inclinations as hobbies rather than potential career paths. Watching her light up under Ryan's encouragement made him question whether he'd been too rigid in shaping her future. After the session ended, Daniel approached Ryan, extending a hand. "Mr. Harper, right? I'm Daniel Whitmore, Mia's dad. I wanted to thank you for everything you've done for her. She's different here, happier." Ryan shook his hand firmly, surprised but pleased. "It's no problem, Mr. Whitmore. Mia's a great kid. She's fitting in beautifully. She talks about you all the time," Daniel admitted with a chuckle. "Says you're the best teacher she's ever had." Ryan shrugged modestly. "Just doing my job. These kids deserve every opportunity we can give them." The comment struck a chord with Daniel. Here was a man who gave selflessly, asking for nothing in return. A stark reminder of the humanity he sometimes lost sight of in his own life. As they chatted further, Ryan shared stories about the challenges of running the camp on a shoestring budget, relying heavily on donations and volunteer support. "I'd love to expand the program next year," Ryan said wistfully. "Maybe add more workshops or even host weekend sessions during the school year. But funding's always an issue." Daniel nodded thoughtfully, filing the information away. Over the next few days, he wrestled with the idea of stepping in. On one hand, he knew he could ensure the camp's survival and growth with minimal effort. On the other hand, he worried about overshadowing Ryan's hard work or making it seem like charity. Finally, after consulting with Mia, who enthusiastically endorsed the idea, Daniel resolved to act. On the final day of the camp, families gathered for a celebratory barbecue. Kids ran around playing tag, while parents mingled over plates of food. Ryan stood near the grill, flipping burgers and chatting with volunteers, when Daniel approached him. "Got a minute?" Daniel asked, gesturing toward a quiet corner of the park. "Sure," Ryan replied, wiping his hands on a napkin. "What's up?" They walked to a nearby bench, where Daniel took a deep breath before speaking. "First, let me say how impressed I am with what you've built here. This camp isn't just fun. It's transformative. You're giving these kids something invaluable, hope." Ryan smiled faintly, unsure where this was going. "Thanks. That means a lot." Daniel leaned forward, his tone earnest. "I've seen firsthand how much Mia has grown because of this experience, and I know she's not the only one. But I also know how hard you've worked to keep it running. So, I want to help." Ryan frowned slightly, sensing what was coming. "You don't owe me anything, Mr. Whitmore. Really. It's not about owing," Daniel countered quickly. "It's about investing in something that matters. Something Claire would have loved." He paused, noting the flicker of recognition in Ryan's eyes. "I'd like to fund the camp permanently, expand its reach, hire additional staff, secure a permanent location. Whatever you need to keep this magic alive." For a moment, Ryan was speechless. The weight of Daniel's offer hit him like a tidal wave. Relief, gratitude, and a hint of vulnerability swirling together. I don't know what to say." "You don't have to decide now," Daniel assured him. "But please, let me do this. Not just for you, but for every child who deserves a chance to shine." Ryan looked out at the field, where kids laughed and played without a care in the world. He thought about Claire, her unwavering belief in the power of community, and how far they'd come since her passing. Finally, he turned back to Daniel, his voice steady. "If you're sure, then yes. Thank you." Years passed, and Harper's Haven Summer Camp continued to thrive, becoming a beacon of hope and opportunity in the community. The program expanded beyond its original scope, offering year-round workshops, mentorship initiatives, and partnerships with local schools. Kids who once attended as shy participants returned as counselors, eager to pay forward the lessons they'd learned. Parents credited the camp not just for teaching skills, but for instilling values like resilience, empathy, and teamwork, qualities that stayed with their children long after summer ended. For Ryan, the camp was more than a legacy. It was proof that dreams could endure even in the face of loss. Every time he walked through the doors of the facility named after Claire, he felt her presence, a quiet reassurance that she was proud of what they'd built together. His own children, Sophie and Ethan, grew into compassionate young adults inspired by their father's dedication. Sophie pursued a career in education, while Ethan followed in his mother's footsteps, advocating for social justice causes. Mia Whitmore blossomed into an accomplished artist whose work celebrated diversity and inclusion. Her first solo exhibit, titled The Colors of Us, featured portraits of campers alongside stories of their journeys. During the opening night, she dedicated the collection to Ryan and her father, saying, "They taught me that art isn't just about beauty, it's about connection, about seeing people for who they are and helping them see themselves." Daniel, too, found fulfillment in ways he'd never anticipated. By stepping away from the relentless pursuit of profit and embracing meaningful projects, he rediscovered joy in simplicity. He became a vocal advocate for underprivileged youth, using his platform to raise awareness and funds for similar programs across the country. Yet despite his achievements, he remained humble, often crediting Ryan for changing his perspective. "You saved us, Ryan," Daniel said during a rare quiet moment at the camp. "Not just Mia, but me. You reminded me how to live." Ryan chuckled softly, shaking his head. "I didn't save anyone, Daniel. We did this together. That's what family does." Though they weren't related by blood, Ryan and Daniel had forged a bond stronger than kinship, one rooted in shared purpose and mutual respect. Their partnership extended beyond the camp, influencing countless lives and inspiring others to follow suit. One crisp autumn morning, as golden leaves swirled around the campgrounds, Ryan stood beside Daniel, watching kids chase each other across the field. Nearby, Mia painted a mural on the side of the new arts building, her brushstrokes vibrant and full of life. Sophie and Ethan helped younger campers navigate an obstacle course, their laughter mingling with the crisp air. "This place is amazing," Daniel remarked, his voice tinged with awe. "Every time I come here, I see something new." "It's because it's alive," Ryan replied. "It grows with every kid who walks through those gates, just like we do." As they watched, a group of teenagers gathered around Mia's mural, marveling at the colorful depiction of hands reaching toward the sky. One boy pointed to a line of text scrawled beneath the image. "Kindness starts small but changes everything." "That's your quote, isn't it?" Daniel asked, nudging Ryan playfully. Ryan grinned, nodding. "Yeah, kinda sums it all up, doesn't it?" That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Ryan sat alone on the same bench where he'd first spoken with Daniel years ago. The park was quiet now, the sounds of laughter replaced by the gentle rustle of leaves. He pulled out an old photo of Claire, smiling softly at her familiar warmth. "We did it, Claire," he whispered, tracing the edges of the picture. "You were right all along. People just need a chance to shine." Behind him, footsteps crunched against the gravel path. Turning, he saw Daniel approaching, holding 2 steaming cups of coffee. Wordlessly, he handed one to Ryan, sitting down beside him. "To Claire," Daniel said, raising his cup in a silent toast. "To Claire," Ryan echoed, clinking his mug against Daniel's. "And to everyone who believed." As they sat together under the starlit sky, Ryan realized something profound. Happiness wasn't a destination. It was a journey, a series of moments filled with love, purpose, and connection. And in that moment, surrounded by the echoes of laughter and the promise of tomorrow, Ryan knew he'd found exactly what he'd been searching for.